Hi and welcome. And today I'm going to talk about the state of the election as of October the 30th, the state of the presidential election in the United States as of October the 30th. And I'm going to do that by going over the national and state polling. I want to update update my results from the day before. And then go through what I think are three scenarios. I think there are three scenarios that the polling is suggesting. I'm going to go through each of those scenarios. So that's what I'm going to do today. And let me start with the overall picture. What I think in the state of the race. I think over the last 24 hours we had some good polling for Biden. So my own call I think is up half a point. Biden picked up half a point in the last 24 hours from my modeling. I think that Biden is ahead by 4.1 points, and we're heading towards a margin of 3.6 percentage points by election day. On election day, that Biden will win the popular vote by 3.6 percentage points. But what I want to talk about, I talked about yesterday how there seems to be some differences in the polling. That there's and as I've looked through, what I can see is that there's really three versions of reality that are being projected by these polls. And the first version of reality is what I call a consensus view. That's the view of most of the national polling and the bulk of the state polling that seems to be saying that Biden is going to win the popular vote as of the 30th of October by 7.5 percentage points. That's a big margin, and in fact, that if that margin holds up, that would translate into an Electoral College win of roughly, as I'll show you, about 358, 359 to about 180, 179. A pretty big win if in fact that consensus view is true. But personally, I'm still a bit skeptical of that because there is, as I said, there's a cluster of polls that say the state of the race is something roughly around 4 points. That 4 points is a more accurate way to look at where we're at now and maybe a little bit under on election day. And then there's a third view, which is kind of an outlier view, and it's really just the very Republican leaning pollsters. There's a couple of major ones in particular that are painting a picture. If you look at that picture, and this is the only scenario, my scenario is still Biden wins, not by much, but he wins. But under this third scenario, the election's a toss-up. So, and I'll get into what that scenario is, but let me start with what I see as the consensus view. Consensus view says Biden is leading by 7.5 percentage points. Now, I've gone through the state model, and I really have my head wrapped around that now. And I think I can give a pretty reasonable call on 11 states now. The only one that I'm leaving out is Minnesota, because there's just not enough published polls yet. So hopefully we can get some of that. But right now I don't have that. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video, what might be going on in Minnesota. But so let's go from east to west. Consensus reality has Biden winning New Hampshire and its 4 Electoral College votes by 9.1 percentage points. Pennsylvania, Biden is up by 5.9 percentage points for Pennsylvania's 20 Electoral College votes. Then going down to North Carolina and its 15 Electoral College votes, Biden is up by 2.0, according to this consensus view. About 2.0 percentage points. Florida, again, Biden in the lead there, according to the consensus, up by about 2.2% for Florida's 29 Electoral College votes. Up to Ohio, the consensus now has Biden ahead. So Biden ahead in Ohio by 1.1 percentage points, much closer, but still the polling suggests that, the consensus polling that is, suggests that he's ahead in Ohio by 1.1 percentage points. Then Michigan, and we've seen a much bigger lead. Biden up by 7.7% according to the Michigan polling. And Wisconsin's not much different, a lead of about 6.7%. Then going back down south, Georgia, Trump narrowing the lead, 0.3 percentage points. This one is nip and tuck according to the consensus. The consensus for Georgia's 16 Electoral College votes, I forgot to mention, that's Michigan 16, Wisconsin 10, Ohio 18 Electoral College votes. Then going out to Texas with its 38 Electoral College votes, Trump up by 2.4 percentage points. That's the consensus. So I think even with the consensus, right now Trump looks like he's going to carry Texas. And then out to Arizona, consensus has Biden up by about 2.9 percentage points. So Biden up by 2.9 in Arizona. And then finally, and that is for 11 Electoral College votes, finally out all the way out to Nevada, Biden up by 5.8 percentage points according to what I'm calling this consensus reality. And probably under that, Biden would carry the one district, the Omaha district in Nebraska, for that one Electoral College vote. So I think under that, I think Biden's going to get 359 and Trump 179. That's a 2-to-1 margin. Pretty comfortable margin, a comfortable victory in the Electoral College for Joe Biden under that scenario. So now let me move to what I see as something that's closer to reality, because I am skeptical of these are kind of mainstream media outlets. Many of them got things very wrong the last time. They made some poor predictions the last time. I'm still a bit skeptical, and there's some polling that supports that. If there wasn't, I certainly wouldn't do it. Wouldn't make this statement if I didn't think there's at least something to back it. But so under this scenario, let me first go over. I think Biden would win. Still is going to win. Under this scenario, Biden wins 279 to 259. And what we'll see is that Pennsylvania and Nevada are the closest states that, but still I think that both of those that Biden would carry by more than a percentage point. But let me go through each of these states in the same way that I just did with the consensus. And so up in the Northeast, I have Biden up by 5.2 percentage points. So Biden winning there by 5.2%. I think in Pennsylvania, I have Biden up by 2 points. So Biden winning Pennsylvania by 2 percentage points. Then moving down to North Carolina, I have Trump up by 3.2 percentage points. Pretty close to where he was the last time. So up by 3.2 percentage points. And also under this scenario, Trump would carry Florida, and would have him carry it by 3 points. Maybe that's a little bit high, but at any rate, under this my call would be right now that I think he would carry Florida. And let me get to Georgia. He would also carry Georgia roughly by the same amount that he did the last time, 4.3 percentage points. And then moving up to the Midwest, Ohio, I have Trump up by 2.8 percentage points. Michigan, I have Biden carrying Michigan and carrying Michigan by 3.8 percentage points. Wisconsin, Biden up by a little bit less, 2.8 percentage points. And I don't have Minnesota, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Then down to Texas, Trump carries it, I say, by 6.4 percentage points. That's still less. He carried it by more than 9 points the last time. So that's a shrinkage from 2016. Then moving out to Arizona, I have Trump narrowly carrying Arizona by only 1 point, but carry ahead. I think at this point that I'm going to say that Trump is still going to carry Arizona. And then finally, Nevada, that I have Biden up by 1.8 percentage points. So that is what I think is a realistic view of the state of the race, and what I think is the most likely thing to happen. Under that view, Biden wins a close election, a close victory in the Electoral College, only a 20-point margin, and 9 over the minimum. But he wins Pennsylvania and Nevada. Those would be the two real linchpin states, and he carries that by 2 and 1.8 percentage points, respectively. That's comfortable enough that if in that scenario, that's pretty clear cut. That even though it'd be close, it's a clear cut victory. So that's what I'm forecasting, close but clear cut victory. Then, as I say, the alternate reality with the two, especially the two Republican-leaning pollsters, and that's Rasmussen's reports and Trafalgar. So those two definitely trending to the right of where I'm forecasting. I don't think they're realistic, but it's a version of reality. And so if you subscribe to that, I'm at least going to tell you what those polls are going to tell you. So if you subscribe to that view of reality, the election is a toss-up. And it's a toss-up, and because I think there would be, under that scenario, it's pretty much the same states would be in play, except that instead of Biden winning Nevada, Pennsylvania, and I'm going to bring Minnesota in narrowly. I don't know what would happen. I don't have numbers. At least what I've seen, this is kind of touchy-feely because it's just a lack of information. But somebody thinks it's not a big lead. The way that both Trump is going to, I think, is going to Minnesota. Biden was there yesterday, or was it the day before. Something's going on in Minnesota. So in that version of reality, Biden has about 242, 243. Trump has 259, 260. And then you've got 3 states, Nevada, 6 Electoral College votes, Pennsylvania with 20, Minnesota with 10. Basically, that would be whoever took 2 out, if that's a 2 out of 3. That's kind of a best 2 out of 3. I think by 240, that would be a 269, could be a 269, 269. Actually, under such a scenario, Biden would have to win all 3. Trump would need to take 2 out of 3. That's probably the best scenario for Trump at this point. Again, you really have to subscribe to the view that Trafalgar and Rasmussen reports are capturing the reality of voters for Trump that are other pollsters are not capturing. That's clearly the story that they're trying to tell. Not quite sure if I personally buy it, but that's the story that they're telling. So that's basically what we have. We have 3 realities. One where Biden wins a pretty comfortable victory. That's kind of a consensus. I certainly can't rule that out. And then my own view is a much closer election, but one in which Biden would win by a narrow, but a comfortable enough that would not really be a nail biter in the 2 closest states that would probably be Nevada and Pennsylvania. And then the Trafalgar Rasmussen view of reality, where at best it's still a toss-up for Trump. So things are looking very good for Biden. And I think really the next day or two, we're probably going to get now real flurry. Things are going to really pick up in terms of the polling and a real feeling of what's going to happen. over the next couple of days. So that's what I'm going to be focused on. Really going to be focused on is on the difference between the consensus polling and the polling that I'm seeing. If there's any further movement, especially if there's any further movement to Biden, like what we've seen in the last 24 hours, if that happens in the next 24, 48 hours, I'm probably going to kind of make a final call there. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. It's not over yet, but it's getting close. So that's where I think we're at as of October the 30th. So please hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see these videos between now and Election Day to get notification. And please share this video with people that you think would be interested in this material. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.